Hey, it's Sandro here. I know what you're thinking. It's a bit of a magic trick. I'm doing a magic trick right now. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wasn't there a new episode of Oldie Buddy Goodie that was meant to come out today? Wasn't there going to be like that Hitchcock special? Because they left us on a big cliffhanger and then the show was meant to return after a 2-week break. Well, stuff happened, and unfortunately we've had to push that episode back another week. It's recorded, I just have no time to edit it currently, because I'm doing the Melbourne Fringe, and also getting ready for a big show called Shakespeare Ghostbusters, which, by the way, you should come to. I'm going to put a link in the episode description. I'm doing a show. I'm the sound and light guy. I sound designed it, light designed it. It's with Rob Lloyd, friend of the show, Rob Lloyd. It's with friend of the show, Zach Rose, friend of the show, Danny McGinley. They're all in it. Go check it out. It's a follow-up to Shakespeare Aliens, which we toured last year and early this year as well in Adelaide. But anyway, that's a random plug that I thought I'd throw in. Yeah, we've had to delay the Hitchcock episode 1 week, which has pushed every episode that was meant to come out back 1 week, which is fine. Just means that the finale is going to come out on like Boxing Day or some shit, which is that's fine. I don't care. I don't know why it's such a big deal. What are you talking about? It's fine. Leave it alone. Drop the subject. But one good thing about delaying episodes is that we get to go into the Patreon vault and find a little bonus episode to drop for free, and I've got a doozy for you. It is C.H.U.D 2, Bud the C.H.U.D. We reviewed C.H.U.D, which is a horror film. We reviewed that back in 2020. You can go listen to that episode if you haven't yet. It's episode 87. We reviewed the first movie, but right now on this bonus episode, we're going to review for you the direct-to-video sequel that is fucking wild. I honestly can't believe that it's a movie that exists, and so here's a little bonus review of that movie for you to check out right now. This is a lot of fun. If you want more episodes like this, patreon.com/oldiebuddygoodypod. There's a little spooky October's mini-series happening right now on the Troll movies, which have a lot in common with C.H.U.D 2, but the C.H.U.D tonally. So you should go check that out, maybe. Links in the episode description. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Enjoy the episode. We will be back with the big Hitchcock special next week, next Monday in Australia, Sunday, other places. It's a fun episode. It's a long episode. That's out next week. And then we continue our time traveling adventures all the way until Boxing Day, which is fine. Don't worry about it.
Wow, it's just me strolling down the road on this nice, sunny, happy day. Boy, I sure hope nothing bad is happening on this auspicious day. Hello there, sir. How do you do on this fine day?
Meat.
I could go for a burger myself at the moment. Sir, and might I say, you have a mighty fine complexion on this day. I'm glad you're out here getting some sun. You look like you could use some vitamin D.
Oh!
Oh no! He's attacking me! Oh! But it's off screen and there's literally like no blood or scars left on me. Ah!
And that is every single scene in this movie.
Bud the C.H.U.D. Bud C.H.U.D.
Hello and welcome to Patreon. Thank you for subscribing. Happy New Year. It's the first Patreon episode of the year. And Zach, look, over on the main show at the moment, we're doing heaps of direct-to-TV movies. So it only makes sense that I think for our first Patreon episode of the year, we do a direct-to-video comedy sequel to one of the better films we did in 2020. It's C.H.U.D 2, Bud the C.H.U.D. What were you expecting?
Not this. I expected more of the same or more on the same, and I got something else entirely. Now, I don't know if you recall, Sandro, but was the first movie like a comedy? Obviously, it had comedy elements.
It did.
As is all horror. I think horror is the other flip side of comedy, you know? That's too emotional coin. It obviously had that. But was it an actual comedy?
It was more of a political satire.
Yeah.
You know? It had like the political elements. It was a little bit funny, but no, it was mostly really, really kind of gross, lizard-esque kind of mole people coming up from the sewers.
Yeah. There was a bit of that, and there was a bit of mystery as to what was actually going on.
Yeah.
So you could say it was kind of like a smart movie.
It was surprisingly really smart for an 80s horror B movie.
Whereas this movie's fucking dumb. It's really stupid.
What were they thinking? I've read that this wasn't actually originally a C.H.U.D sequel, and that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what? That makes sense.
But also, I would love if they watched Evil Dead 2 and went, we need to do that for C.H.U.D. And then they made this. So if you haven't heard our episode of C.H.U.D, it's episode 87. You can go back and listen to it if you want. But that movie is basically, it's about genetically mutated people. They live in the sewers. They've become so mutated they look like lizard things.
They're like the swamp monsters. They're kind of like green, blobby fish lizard people with very iconically big yellow glowing eyes.
Yes,
like that's one of their main feature. They look like slime zombie creatures. Yeah,
really
very
gross,
big and gross.
And I guess, because in that movie, though, we do see someone turning, and they look more human as they're turning or something. So I guess the reason why those C.H.U.Ds looked like that was because they were in the sewer. Because every C.H.U.D in this movie is just a person with, like, grey makeup on and, like, rotten teeth.
Yep.
That's what this movie thinks a C.H.U.D is.
They look like knockoff, like, vampire costumes. Like, they didn't even get zombie costumes, they got vampire costumes.
It's kind of like the Night of the Living Dead style of zombies, where no one really knew what, like, a zombie should look like early zombies, where it's just people with, like, some makeup on. And, the plot of this movie is, because at the end of the first one, the C.H.U.D project, like, everyone knows about it, so the government are forced to shut it down, and they've killed off all the C.H.U.Ds, but there's one that's been cryogenically frozen, and a bunch of teens wake it up, and then it goes on a C.H.U.D spree as these teens have to hilariously try and fix the problem that they started.
What? What?
And it's just a comedy. It's a straight comedy.
It's just a dumb horror comedy, but also it's like what? You went from like political satire sort of thing about people like the government doing something that's messing everything up, and then there's like people finding out about it, and like homeless are going missing, but no one cares about them anyway.
That was a great angle of the first one.
Yeah. No one cares about these homeless people, so they don't care if they're going missing. And the government's trying to cover it up anyway, so no one knows that this horrible thing is going on. And that's like, whoa. In this one, oh no, there was a body left in the middle of the school, and the wheels aren't, like, locked or anything. And there's literally just a big open, like, garage flap-sized door that it can just roll out of.
Yeah.
And it rolls directly onto the highway, and then somehow ends up appearing at the very end of the film.
Don't question it.
It after days of just rolling around, it just showed up.
Yeah. The way that they do it is the two teens. By the way, one of the teens is the current president of Nickelodeon. He quit movies and is now...
Whoa! Which one?
Yeah, the main guy. The guy that looked like Mahoney from Police Academy.
Oh, the, like, rebel guy.
Yeah, he's the president of Nickelodeon.
Oh my god, yeah, no, he has that, like, Nickelodeon attitude, I feel.
Oh, wait, hang on. No, he's gone up in the ranks. He's the head of Paramount Pictures now.
Whoa! Oh my god. This guy's crazy, dude.
He's the CEO of Paramount, and he's He's in C.H.U.D 2, Bud the C.H.U.D.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
So he and his science friend explode a frog?
He, zaps the train, it lights on fire, and then he pours more flammable liquid on it like an idiot, and then they get in trouble. And then they go to detention, and then, through happenstance, they find the dead body that their teacher's gotten in. Also, what the fuck? How did the teacher get a dead body in?
That was a fresh dead body as well.
Yeah, it was pretty new. Did the teacher go out on a killing spree himself? What's happened there?
It's a small country town. I wouldn't put it past anyone in that town.
Yeah. And then they bump into it, and whoa! No one's secured the wheels, and no one's looking after it, and it isn't put to the side, and its wheels are not even, pointed away from the giant open flap at the back that it can easily roll after.
Yeah.
If the kids weren't there, it could have easily by itself just rolling out.
Rolled away. That was pretty funny, though. As soon as that happened, I went, it's this sort of movie.
Yeah. You know exactly what you're in for after that. It's like, oh, no.
So then they go to the Center of Disease Control to, quote, get a replacement body.
What? What is your plan? Just go and tell the teacher... seriously, just go and tell the teacher, hey... This body wasn't secured properly and the door was left open.
Yeah.
So it just rolled out onto the street. It's not really our fault. It's whoever put the body there. But no, instead their plan is to go and get a new body.
Go and get a new body.
One, the teacher wouldn't notice that it's a different body. Two,
exactly
the hospital wouldn't notice people stealing a body. 3, the hospital wouldn't notice a missing body.
It's not even a hospital, though. It's the Center of Disease... It's a government facility that they just waltz in.
Yeah, it's not even a hospital. It's in the government facility, which they're stealing it from, of disease control. So the body's probably going to be diseased.
I mean, yeah.
Even
as
if
we
they
find
don't...
out...
imagine they didn't grab the C.H.U.D and just grabbed another body, and it had, Ebola or something.
Had Ebola. Oh no, now the whole town is just dying of Ebola.
Town has Ebola because of these stupid kids. Also, the body wasn't guarded by anyone, by one security guy. In the first scene, we see a security guy. I guess that security guy's been fired, which is why there's no security on this new body.
I don't know. I have no answers. They just somehow managed to steal the C.H.U.D.
This is a big government facility, and 2 teenagers waltz in and just take the first body they see, which happens to be one of the most valuable bodies ever to exist, because it's got a mortal zombie body, which this general is obsessed with, right? So how has he not got one guy guarding it at all time?
Well, because the general's an idiot as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying, you keep one guy there to just make sure it doesn't come alive again, so he can spray it with the ice machine, right? How did this happen? There wasn't a scene where they were like, oh, we gotta sneak past the guard.
It would have made so much more sense if they sneak in and then resurrect the C.H.U.D in the Center of Disease Control. Instead, they take it home, put him in the bath. Uh-oh, we dropped a hairdryer in the bath.
They drag the body home. Past their parents.
This entire movie is people looking the wrong way while funny stuff is happening in the background.
Yeah.
They do that joke maybe 10 plus times.
To be fair, I really like the parents. They're so suburban.
I like every character. I think every character is really funny.
I don't like every character. In fact, I don't like most of them. But the parents I was on board with, because they just are 100% oblivious and complaining about the, tiniest things. It's like, oh, my prune has a pit still in it.
Yeah, while their dog is being, kicked around in the background.
Yeah.
They just football kick this poor poodle down some stairs at one point. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then the guy, they find a flooded toilet, and he's like, oh, my mum never needed all this makeup stuff. And she's like, your mum looked like a fucking hag.
Yeah, she said, but your mother looked like Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart. Yeah. Yeah, let's look that guy up. I want to see what he looked like.
Humphrey Bogart, which, like, to be fair, he's not the most, like... Although I guess you don't want your mum to look like that, but I don't know, if, you know...
Dishonor Humphrey Bogart. He's a handsome man.
Yeah, it's not really an insult.
Although it is funny.
It's pretty funny.
That's funny now that it's just a handsome actor.
Yeah.
Because his mother looked like a guy.
So all throughout the movie, I was, like, asking myself, who is this for? Is this a kid's comedy? I don't think it is. The humor is very childlike. It's a very childlike movie in terms of the comedy, but it's also definitely not for kids, because in this movie, there is a scene where we have someone working out in front of the TV, and she's, like, verbally abusing this workout tape, and more specifically, the person hosting the workout tape. She calls the host of the workout tape an anorexic neo-Nazi leotard slut, which is not something that you would say in a kids' movie, so I don't think this is a kids' movie.
Is it possible, Sandro, that they didn't know what their target audience was and this is a bad movie? The thing that confuses me is that there's no gore in this movie. There's, like, barely any.
There's one splatter of blood, and there's one moment when they push a hose through a guy's head, and that's it.
Well, okay, there's a bit of gore, but compared to the first C.H.U.D...
nothing.
And other things we've done, just like anything we've done, it's got nothing, because the zombies attack people and they just leave them as normal people. What are they eating? They're supposedly zombies that eat people, but when they attack people, they leave them without a single bite mark. They just come back up with fangs and pale.
Yeah.
So all they needed to do was have, like, a splodge in the back of their head, which was, like, red. And it's like, oh, they bit the back of their head to eat their brains or something. But no, they don't even have that.
They don't do that. Well, what they do, and this is pretty much the entire movie after the C.H.U.D is resurrected in the bathtub, is him going from person to person and, just walking up to someone. They have a conversation with him, and he kind of responds in a funny way, and then he lurches towards them. We cut to the feet.
Yeah.
And then, like, slurping sound effects.
Yeah. Or the old couple that fell over backwards over the couch. You just see the C.H.U.Ds go over the couch, and then we hear slurping sounds from behind the couch.
Yeah. And so I assume maybe they've got straws, or maybe they are vampires, and they just kind of bite the neck.
That's the thing, Sandro. I think this might have been originally also, like, they might have thought vampires.
Yeah, I read somewhere that this was a Return of the Living Dead sequel, though, originally, and then they just kind of slapped C.H.U.D onto it.
Wow.
I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what this movie is. But what I do know what this movie is a great film if you love zombie dogs. Because as I mentioned, there's this poodle gets kicked down some stairs. The poodle, like, has the worst time throughout the entire movie.
Oh, no, actually, it has the worst time till it's turned into a C.H.U.D, and then it has the best time.
And then the poodle becomes a C.H.U.D poodle, and it attacks the mailman. The Chad. It attacks the mailman, and it's actually really well done, because it's so obviously, like, just someone off-screen throwing this poodle, toy at the mailman.
Oh, it's so good, because we have a perspective, which is from the, like, dinner table, where the suburban mum and dad are having, like, lunch. And then at the window, their child is watching the mailman just getting attacked by this toy poodle that someone threw off screen at him.
It's great. Oh, and then he's, like, dragged out onto the street.
Yeah, he gets dragged away. And then the dad's like, oh, has the mailman arrived? And the little girl's like, he's gone.
Oh, the little girl. Okay, I've got a fan theory about this movie. Okay. Not a fan theory, because I don't think I'm a fan of the movie. I've got a theory about the movie.
Yeah, all right.
So there's a joke at the very start where the little girl's brother, who's the main character and now CEO of Paramount Pictures.
Oh, I see where this theory's going. I like it, yep.
He tells the little girl that this is all a bad dream. Because she sees the C.H.U.D, and he's like, you're dreaming right now, and if you don't wake up, this thing's gonna eat you, right? Later in the movie, because of course it takes place on, like, Halloween night at the end, later in the movie, we see a bunch of kids trick-or-treating, and right in the middle, it's a cameo, but it's not a very well-shot cameo, because there isn't a close-up, but it is him. Robert Englund, also known as Freddy from A Nightmare on Elm Street, is walking around with these kids. He's in the movie. He doesn't say anything. It's not a close-up, but it is him. This entire movie is that little girl dreaming. Yeah. And Freddy is haunting her dreams and just making her imagine all this weird stuff.
I like that because the movie makes no fucking sense. And therefore, if you make it a dream, it just explains why it makes no fucking sense.
This is Freddy having fun. He's not even going to kill this kid. He's like, you've got a wild imagination and I'm just going to hang out in here for a bit because this is hilarious.
He's like on his way to go murder some young adults.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't go after... She's too young, you know?
Yeah.
He's looking for the like 15 to 20 range because that's when you can get the real spooks. So he's just messing around, you know? He's having a good time. He's like, haha, this is my bud C.H.U.D. You know what? Let's get a dog in here too. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Let's do a joke where the reason the C.H.U.Ds look pale is because they're vegans. That's a joke.
They don't eat enough meat.
That was a good moment when they all go to the burger joint and they walk up to the waiter and he's like, we got so many great burgers. We got the blood burger. We got the bogus burger, the bozo burger. Which one do you want? And all the C.H.U.Ds look at each other and go, Bobby Burger.
Yeah, because his name's Bobby. He has like a name tag.
Because they can talk. The C.H.U.Ds can talk. The C.H.U.Ds understand English. The C.H.U.D has a crush on the female lead of the movie.
Very dumb.
Or something, even though she's like 16 and he's well into his 30s.
Yeah, well, you could say he's the bad guy of this movie, Sandro.
That's a good point.
Except he's supposed to be like a sort of charming... yeah, it's a little weird.
I think he's charming. I greatly enjoyed this grown man fumbling his way through this dumb movie.
No. I'd like to say... I think if people were nicer to him, he wouldn't have ate them. Because he only goes bad if people treat him bad. Because at the start, what's his face? Nickelodeon president /
Yep, the CEO of Paramount.
CEO of Paramount and his friend, like, revive him, and they're all like, yeah, you're alive! And he's like, oh? Okay, yeah, I'm down with this. Like, he doesn't try and eat them immediately.
Yeah, true.
Whereas in the doctor room, he immediately tried to eat the doctor. Why? Because the doctor was trying to inject him. Just saying.
Oh, does that mean that Bud the C.H.U.D is, like, anti-vax or something?
Yes.
Oh, no, Bud the C.H.U.D.
Yeah, well, he's not very smart.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't eat the parents in the house.
No.
He just tries to eat the dog, because the dog is, like, growls at him. You know?
Yeah.
And then that woman, like, hits on him because he's muscly. he's like a big, muscly military guy until, of course, she sees his teeth and she screams. And then as soon as she screams, he's like, oh.
Time to turn you.
Now I'm going to eat you.
What else happens in the movie? They're all at the burger joint and then the colonel shows up and he's got a rocket launcher and he blows up the entire building. That's pretty good.
No, that scene's great, because they eat Bobby while the good guys are all outside and they just completely miss it happening.
That happens. That happens so many times in this movie. That's great.
Everyone is so oblivious in this movie and it hurts. And then, the general comes up and blows up the diner. But all the C.H.U.Ds are fine, by the way, afterwards.
What do they say? One of them's like, what a blast.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Whoa, blast.
Hey, all you guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Maddie, and we're the hosts of WTF is Happening,
Australia's #1 pop culture podcast, as voted by our mums.
We're here to be your weekly 60-minute pop culture catch-up.
You can expect stories from our personal lives that basically guarantee we'll never get a date.
Legendary guest interviews where we find out which cultural moments shaped their lives.
And honestly, just a touch of, like, chaotic, frantic energy.
Now, as soon as you're done with the iconic podcast you're listening to right now,
go and listen and subscribe to us.
Agreed.
Cute.
Well, hello there. You probably know me as Selly McSeller, but for this month, I'm known as Spooky McPoopy. If you're looking for some good Halloween scares this October, go over to patreon.com/oldie-but-a-goodie-pod, where Sandro and Zach are reviewing the Troll movies. Starting with Troll from 1986. If you're scared, skip this part, because here's a spooky clip. Now, I already knew going into this movie that Troll 1 is popular because the characters are called Harry Potter.
Yeah. Is this coincidence that this, 1980s-ish movie that possibly a young J.K. Rowling could have seen, that is a fantasy movie about having a parallel world that no one knows about that's full of magical creatures and magic.
Yep.
And having a main character called Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah.
That gets suddenly thrown into this magical world.
Yeah.
Almost against his will. Is this coincidence, Sandro?
No.
Wow.
Absolutely not. Oh my god, that was so spooky! And you can go over now to patreon.com/oldie-but-a-goodie-pod and get the whole scary episode of Halloween goodness. You can also get ad-free and early episodes of the main show, which is even spookier. Woo! So the whole movie culminates at a Halloween party, where about 60% of the costumes would be problematic, but the C.H.U.Ds, they stop outside the school where the dance is, and they do a little dance.
Yeah,
they do the
C.H.U.Ds
Thriller
love
dance.
To dance. I will say, throughout this movie, Bud loves to dance. I'm just saying. They're really into dance. Because in the barn scene, he dances a bit there as well. They had that barn scene where they went into a barn to just eat some animals.
Yeah.
And then they fought C.H.U.D, and they stab him with a pitchfork, and that does nothing. But hitting him with a hay barrel knocks him over, though.
That knocks him over. That's when they realize that they can freeze the C.H.U.Ds for a very small amount of time, because the C.H.U.Ds can force their body temperature to go so high that it melts the ice that they're frozen in.
Yeah, they've started to mutate.
Yeah.
So they can, which was kind of cool. I liked that idea that they were starting to mutate and gain new abilities, because that makes it more of a real problem at that point.
Yes.
Because then it's like you can't just freeze nuke the town.
Yeah, because they can mutate. And I think that's cool as well when you're comparing it to the first movie, because in the first movie they were the sewer C.H.U.Ds.
Yes.
These are like the land C.H.U.Ds.
Yeah, maybe the C.H.U.Ds in the sewers mutated to look like those creatures to adapt to their environment.
Yeah. Which
would make that movie cooler, but still this movie's lame.
This movie's still quite lame. Yes, you are correct there. But yeah, it ends at this dance because the teens realize. Well, Zach, what is the teens' plan to rid the town of C.H.U.Ds? Because it's amazing.
Well, first off, we have to go through some important steps.
Yeah.
One, sorry, I nearly said the Z word.
Mm-hmm.
The C.H.U.Ds.
Yeah, thank you.
Go through the Halloween streets, and of course, because it's Halloween, nobody questions that they look horrible.
Bitchin' costumes.
Yeah, they pick up a child, but as he picks up the child, he notices some kids looking at a sign that says, "Oh, costume party." It's like, "Oh, let's go there." And he looks at, "Costume party, lots of meat." And then he looks down at this child he's holding and goes, "Small fry," and puts the child down. And then the child, in the most dubbed over lines I've ever seen, was like, "Bitching costumes, mister."
That's great.
And then they go to the dance, where they start dancing, having fun at the dance, just having a good time.
They don't really seem to, they're a bit oblivious and they're, running into people, but they don't seem to want to hurt them.
No, the only person they really wanted to hurt, again, it's only people who diss them or are aggressive to them first, like the ticket lady who tried to charge them $3 each.
What a scene! Because, again, it's so weird because the ticket lady is like, well, that's going to be $3 each, and the C.H.U.Ds do math. The C.H.U.Ds are like, 3, 6, 9, too much money.
Yeah. And also they want the dog to come through.
The dog, because the dog's just a part of the posse now. Best dog of all time.
No, I'm really upset. I didn't get to see the dog on the dance floor. And people go, why is a dog here? I really wanted to see that scene, but they didn't show it. The dog doesn't appear for the rest of the film, which is really sad.
Well, it does appear at the end in a very key scene.
Well, it does appear, until the very end.
Yeah.
So they're dancing. Meanwhile, the three amigos, the three musketeers, they have to figure out how to deal with the zombies, and they have a fight with the teacher.
Yeah, because the teacher's been chuddified.
They manage to freeze him and then electrocute him, and he explodes.
Yes. Oh, and you can tell that this was, like, shot in 1987 because not only is this a comedy sequel to a horror film, but also because the Chuds explode the exact same way that the near-dark vampires exploded.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Near-dark vampires, you say?
Maybe.
So these could have been near-dark vampires.
These might be vampires, who knows?
Then they're like, we need to freeze them, then electrocute them. Okay, they're all at the school dance? Alright, we're gonna grab these nitrogen tanks. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna somehow get all the zombies into the pool.
We'll just kind of push them in because they're giant idiots.
Yeah. Let's hope that all the zombies came at the dance and not a single one of them's just not come with that giant group of them.
Yeah.
And just left.
Yep.
And then, once they get all of them in, they'll freeze them and then figure it out from there, because they haven't figured out what to do once they've frozen them there. They know they need to electrocute them, but they gotta figure out that bit on the fly once they've frozen them.
They'll figure it out on the way. And by the way, it's not like all the Chuds are heading towards the pool to be thrown into the pool. No, they purposefully send out the female lead, Katie, in her swimming attire out into the pool to attract all of the Chuds' attention to get them into the pool. So they could have waited to do that until they knew how to explode every Chud in the pool. But no, they do it now, and then they figure it out as they go along.
And you know what? It makes sense for Chud.
Yeah.
Because as we've established, Chud has a big crush on her.
He does.
For some reason, it also attracts all the other zombies.
Well, I guess he's the leader. Maybe they're a hive mind. I don't know.
And so they're just following him. I mean, he does lead them.
If you're in a hive mind and one of the people in your hive mind is a dog, does that mean that you can then speak dog?
Maybe. It depends. I think the dog doesn't know how to speak a dog anymore, would be my theory, because they can't... Maybe the dog can speak a few bits of dog, but I feel like it's going to be overwhelmed by all the human brains, and they're just going to get cravings for dog food.
So they push all the Chuds into the pool, they explode the pool after kind of fumbling around for a while. While that's going on, Bud chases Katie up to the diving board? I guess that's what you call it.
Yeah, diving board.
Where he's like, Katie, and he reaches into his chest, and he pulls out his heart, and he gives his heart to Katie.
Well, he offers his heart. I don't think she doesn't really want it.
No, she doesn't want it. And then they freeze him and kill him.
And I was like, wow, that's so sad. He just wanted to give her his heart. Which... I have questions. So does he know what love is? And he knows that most people reference the heart to do with love?
My theory, because we know that he's a soldier, so maybe he was sent off to war, and he left his childhood sweetheart at home. He was sent off to war. Maybe they were engaged. Who knows? And then he dies at war, comes back, is experimented on. Yeah, and Katie just happens to look a little bit like the person that he left.
You're adding a lot more lore to this very dumb movie, and you know what? That's fine.
I also added the whole, this is just a Freddy sequence.
That is true. So they kill off all these zombies, not before, what's his face? Nickelodeon president / current CEO of Paramount, gets bitten on the leg.
He does get bitten on the leg. And we then see, after everything is done, everyone's back to living their ideal small town lives, he hops in a truck with Chud Dog, the general, the army guy from earlier. He's been chudified.
Who also has been chudified. We didn't get to see that.
Yep. He's there, and who's the lady? Is that just the leotard?
Maybe?
Neo-Nazi anorexic?
I don't know. She's just a random lady, I think. I don't know. She might have been actually that lady, which would be funny, actually.
They all head off in the truck, and they're all chuds, and they're all like, ha-ha, we're going on a road trip. And that's the end of the movie.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, so that is Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Look.
Uh-huh.
I won't lie, this was very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was very funny. Very enjoyable. Definitely with a couple of drinks, this movie was... It's better than the average, 80s movie quality that some of the ones we've seen, I feel.
It reminds me of Blood Diner.
Yeah,
in that it's so ridiculous and dumb.
But it's, on purpose.
Yeah, but it's on purpose, and unlike... What was that fishing trauma movie we did?
The Hook?
Yeah, the Hook one. That one, which was, bad on purpose, but it just wasn't that funny in the end. This one is, bad on purpose, funny on purpose, and it kind of works. It's kind of funny enough to enjoy it if you're into these sort of things.
I think The Hook tried too hard to be actually scary instead of leaning more into the funny, whereas this knew exactly how terrible it was and just leaned into the funny.
So, what would you rate this thing?
No, please. What would you rate this?
Based on the enjoyability factor, and whether or not I would recommend this to people, I think I'm gonna go goody. But it's not good. It's just... Actually, maybe it is... It's hard to say with movies that are self-aware, because... It's kind of bad on purpose.
Yeah.
And I guess it succeeded in that. And I
think self-aware is totally valid. You could make a bad movie, but if you're self-aware, it makes it a lot better.
Yes, a lot more enjoyable.
You knew it was bad and you leaned into it rather than, tried to be something you weren't. This didn't try and be anything it wasn't.
No.
You know?
So... I don't think it works as a sequel to Chud, but I think it would work as a double feature with Blood Diner. Or something along along those lines.
As a standalone movie, I think it's a goodie.
Yes. As a sequel to a pretty decent zombie film, it's not very good. But as its own thing, yeah. So I'm gonna give it a goodie. How about you?
I'm gonna give it an oldie. This is fucking garbage. What are you on about, Sandra? No, but I'm glad you give it a goodie because I'll give it the credit. If this movie was by itself, just a random zombie movie, I probably would give it a goodie because I enjoyed it quite a lot. Few drinks down, and this was great.
Yeah,
but. I really love the first C.H.U.D movie, and I think that movie is one of my key memories of just a movie that surprised me at how good it was and how different from what I thought it was going to be, and the little twists and turns and the message it had.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool. This
good
movie
one.
had literally none of that. And it just didn't have anything to do with the other movie.
No.
It was a bad sequel. Bad you, movie. Bad you.
It should have been its own thing, but I also love that it is a sequel, just because that's funny. It's funny that this is a sequel to C.H.U.D.
Yeah. It's also not the worst movie ever, though. So I could bear to give it a goodie, but I'm going to give it an oldie because you gave it a goodie. If you were going to give it an oldie, I'd probably give it a goodie.
Definitely.
Just so it got one goodie.
There we go.
But, yeah, I'm going to give it an oldie.
An oldie but a goodie for Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Look up the song, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Bud the Chud.
They made a song for the movie, and it's really funny. It's really good.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, so it's now time for Rotten Reviews, but I'm in charge. Letterboxd reviews, the boxed reviews, where I have got the reviews and you've got to guess
the rotten box.
Stuff. The rotten box? Ew.
Box of rotten reviews.
This first review is from Robin, who says, "If you don't like this film, you got no heart."
Ha ha! Guess I got no heart. 2.5.
That's 5 out of 5.
Of course it is.
5 out of 5. Justin says, obviously the Terminator 2 of the C.H.U.D series.
5 out of 5?
That's 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
I like this one from Chip, who says, the continuity of the first movie is totally ignored.
Yeah! 0.5.
Yes, that is 0.5. Horseman Jack reviewed the movie and pretty much said exactly what I thought of the film as well. The Blood Diner of the C.H.U.D franchise. Someone else thinks this is very similar to Blood
there you
Diner.
go.
It gets extra points for the end credits theme song, though.
Oh, okay. 3.5.
It's 1 out of 5.
Oh, they didn't like either of those movies, apparently. Wow.
And then finally, Jeremy says, pure screenwriting poetry. Chudism is a concept that needs to come back to cinema, and quickly.
5 out of 5.
It's 3 out of 5.
3. Ugh.
It definitely had the majority of ratings were 3 out of 5. I think people enjoy this as a so bad it's good film.
Good. Yeah. This is definitely a so bad it's good.
Although one of the people that reviewed it negatively, I didn't include their review, but one of the people that reviewed it negatively was like, worst movie I've ever seen. Their profile picture on Letterboxd was the guy from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. So I'm not really sure what their idea of a movie is.
Yeah, so I'll say I would probably give this a 2.5.
Yeah, right down the middle.
And then I'd give C.H.U.D 1 like a 4.
Yeah, C.H.U.D
Or a
one's great.
4.5.
I gave this 2 out of 5, but I also gave it a heart.
Oh, yeah, you could give a heart. Yeah, 2 and a heart. Whereas the other one's a 4 and a heart.
Alright, well that is the first Patreon episode of the year. Pretty apt one to start off with, I reckon.
Yeah!
We're actually putting 2 out back to back. There's another one out next week because we, of course, missed the first 2 weeks of the month because I was busy being a theatre nerd.
Yeah, and I was busy having a life. I would disagree with you, but I also agree.
I don't think either of us have a life.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. You know, you got me on that one.
We watched C.H.U.D 2, but the C.H.U.D.
Yeah, I can't really say I had a life.
But next week is also a big one. It's a movie that has been making the rounds in the in the world of like B movies, C movies. I saw something on it and I was like, we have to review it. So next week we're doing the newly released New York Ninja, a movie that was filmed in 1984. Lost for many years. They found the reels with no audio and stitched it back together, redubbed everything, and released it.
Yeah, and you have a physical copy of it, don't you?
I bought it on Blu-ray, yeah.
Wow. So they actually released it
Yeah.
in 2021?
Yeah. At the very end of last year.
That's crazy. How long ago was that movie? Was it 1984?
It was filmed in 84, yeah. And then just abandoned.
So, like, 30 years ago, this film was filmed, and only now they're just like, yeah, we stitched it back together.
Yep.
Why not?
It looks amazing. It better be good, because I paid money for it, so...
You know for a fact that it won't be, and you did that on purpose. You know what you were getting into, Sandro.
We'll do that next week here on Patreon, but until then, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye!
Mate.